Hello, and welcome to this introductory lecture on philosophy. I am your instructor, Saima Sadaf, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this journey into the deepest realms of human thought. Philosophy is not merely an academic discipline, it is a way of living and thinking that has fascinated humans for millennia. Today, we begin at the very foundation by understanding what the word philosophy actually means. The term philosophy comes from the Greek word philosophia, where philo means love and sophia means wisdom. Literally, it translates to love of wisdom. This definition is profound because it indicates that philosophy is not about rote memorization or simple accumulation of facts. Rather, it is about cultivating a sincere passion for truth, understanding, and insight into the human condition. Philosophy is typically defined as the systematic study of the most fundamental questions regarding existence, knowledge, reality, mind, reason, language, and values. It involves rational, critical, and reflective inquiry that scrutinizes assumptions, methods, and conclusions. Unlike casual opinions or social conventions, philosophy does not accept ideas at face value. It examines beliefs through logical reasoning and structured argumentation. Philosophers constantly probe questions such as what is real, what is true, what is the purpose of life, and what it means to be human. Philosophy turns our attention both outward toward the universe and inward toward the workings of the human mind. Through disciplined inquiry, it trains individuals to think clearly, question deeply, and understand life in a more profound way. It is both an intellectual and moral pursuit, shaping not just our understanding but our character, enabling us to live thoughtfully and consciously in a complex world. Philosophy is far more than an abstract or theoretical exercise. It profoundly shapes how we think, judge, and live. One of the most important reasons to study philosophy is that it expands our minds and frees us from narrow, habitual patterns of thought. Bertrand Russell, a prominent philosopher of the modern era, emphasized that although philosophy may not always provide definitive answers, it opens up a universe of possibilities that enrich our thinking and prevent us from blindly following traditions, customs, or societal norms. Philosophy develops intellectual independence, encouraging curiosity, imagination, and original thinking. Socrates captured this principle perfectly when he famously declared that the unexamined life is not worth living. His statement emphasizes that reflection, self-examination, and critical inquiry are essential to a meaningful existence. Without this reflective habit, humans are prone to accepting inherited beliefs and social prejudices without question. Russell warned that people who lack a tincture of philosophy often become prisoners of the unchallenged assumptions of their era. Philosophy, therefore, introduces doubt, curiosity, and wonder into our thinking. It invites us to question why we exist, what can be known, and how we ought to live. By critically analyzing everyday beliefs, philosophy awakens the human mind and liberates it from intellectual laziness and unquestioned assumptions. It encourages us to live consciously rather than passively. Ultimately, studying philosophy is not simply about learning a set of ideas. It is a transformative practice. It sharpens reasoning, enhances self-awareness, and equips individuals with the mental tools to navigate ethical dilemmas, societal pressures, and personal challenges with wisdom, courage, and clarity. Philosophy is fundamentally critical and reflective in nature, which distinguishes it from most other fields of study. One common description is that philosophy is thinking about thinking. This reflective character means that philosophy not only studies external phenomena, but also investigates the structures, processes, and assumptions of our own thought. Philosophers examine ideas, beliefs, and concepts to uncover their underlying presuppositions and implications. They do not merely ask what we believe, but why we believe it, and whether our reasoning is coherent justified, and logically sound. This continuous reflection makes philosophy unique because it constantly scrutinizes its own methods and theoretical foundations. Through conceptual analysis, philosophers clarify essential notions like knowledge, justice, truth, freedom, and morality, removing ambiguities and confusion that can arise from everyday usage of words. The Stoic tradition, for instance, emphasized philosophy as a practical method for training the mind to achieve clarity, inner calm, and human flourishing through reflection, self-discipline, and ethical practice. Philosophy never accepts authority, habit, or emotion as sufficient grounds for belief. Instead, it insists on reasoned argument and evidence. By interrogating definitions, assumptions, and worldviews, philosophy strengthens intellectual discipline, exposes contradictions, and uncovers weak arguments. In this process, it develops both cognitive and moral capacities, training us to think more clearly, honestly, and responsibly. Philosophical reflection equips individuals with critical thinking skills, applicable not only in academic pursuits, but also in everyday decision-making. By fostering analytical reasoning, skepticism toward unexamined ideas, and rigorous inquiry, philosophy protects us from intellectual errors and guides us toward more coherent and informed understanding of ourselves, society, and the universe. Another defining feature of philosophy is its speculative nature. Unlike empirical sciences that rely exclusively on observation, philosophy addresses questions that extend beyond immediate practical concerns and measurable phenomena. It ventures into abstract realms, exploring fundamental issues such as the ultimate nature of reality, free will, consciousness, destiny, and the meaning of life. These questions cannot always be answered definitively, but philosophical inquiry illuminates possible perspectives and encourages deep reflection. Philosophers employ imagination, logic, and critical reasoning to explore these profound concerns. Existentialist thinkers, particularly Jean-Paul Sartre, illustrate this speculative depth. Sartre argued that human beings first exist without predetermined essence and then define themselves through choices and actions. This radical freedom entails both responsibility and the power to shape one's own life. Even in the absence of conclusive answers, philosophy provides tools to examine moral, existential, and metaphysical possibilities. A related aspect is the central role of doubt. Philosophy does not fear uncertainty. Rather, it treats doubt as a starting point for deeper inquiry. By questioning assumptions, certainties, and conventional wisdom, philosophy fosters intellectual humility, curiosity, and resilience. Doubt in philosophical practice is not weakness, but a pathway to discovery. Speculation and existential inquiry together nurture reflective thinking, allowing humans to grapple with profound questions and create meaning in a world that is often uncertain. Philosophy, therefore, is not merely about solving problems, but about expanding awareness, exploring possibilities, and engaging with life's deepest mysteries in a disciplined and imaginative way. It helps us navigate the complexities of existence while cultivating wisdom, insight, and moral responsibility. One of the most central branches of philosophy is metaphysics, which deals with the study of reality itself. Metaphysics seeks to answer the most fundamental questions about existence, being, time, space, causality, and the ultimate structure of the universe. At its core, metaphysics asks, what is truly real and what kinds of entities exist? Are reality and existence purely material, or are there non-material dimensions such as minds, souls, or abstract entities like numbers and concepts? Ancient philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle laid the groundwork for metaphysical inquiry, exploring the nature of being, substance, and the eternal forms that underlie physical reality. Aristotle even called metaphysics the first philosophy because it studies the most foundational principles of existence. Later philosophers built on these ideas in different directions. René Descartes, for example, proposed a dualistic framework in which mind and body are separate substances, whereas Baruch Spinoza argued that all reality is one single substance. Modern metaphysical debates continue to examine the nature of time, whether the future exists objectively, and whether human freedom can coexist with causally determined events. Questions about God, the origin of the universe, and ultimate causes are also metaphysical concerns. Despite differing answers across traditions and thinkers, the purpose of metaphysics remains constant: to investigate what lies beyond appearances, uncover the ultimate principles of existence, and illuminate the structure of reality itself. Metaphysics challenges us to move beyond superficial understanding and cultivate a deeper appreciation for the mysteries of life, existence, and the universe. It is a foundation upon which many other philosophical disciplines, such as ethics, epistemology, and even science, are built, as it addresses the ultimate questions that underpin all knowledge and human understanding. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy dedicated to the study of knowledge. It asks fundamental questions about what knowledge is, how we acquire it, and whether we can ever be certain about what we know. Epistemology examines the sources, structure, and limits of human knowledge. For instance, René Descartes famously attempted to doubt everything he believed in order to find an indubitable foundation for knowledge. In contrast, empiricist philosophers such as John Locke and David Hume argued that knowledge comes primarily from sensory experience, emphasizing observation and evidence. Later, Immanuel Kant proposed that knowledge results from the interaction between sense perception and the innate structures of the mind, bridging rationalist and empiricist perspectives. Epistemology also deals with skepticism, questioning whether humans can truly know anything at all, and challenges like the Gettier problem, which questions the classical definition of knowledge as justified true belief. These inquiries are not merely theoretical, they provide a foundation for all other areas of philosophy and science. Before addressing questions about reality, morality, or existence, epistemology asks how we can reliably know anything at all. It investigates the criteria for truth, the reliability of perception and reason, and the justification of beliefs. By analyzing how we acquire and validate knowledge, epistemology strengthens human reasoning, clarifies assumptions, and provides the intellectual tools to navigate uncertainty. In practical terms, epistemology cultivates critical thinking, discernment, and intellectual integrity, ensuring that our beliefs and actions are informed by reason and evidence. It is therefore essential not only for philosophers, but for anyone seeking a coherent, reflective, and rational understanding of the world. Ethics, or moral philosophy, is the branch of philosophy that investigates how humans should live and what they ought to value. It asks questions about right and wrong, virtue and vice, duty and responsibility, justice and injustice. Ethics seeks to understand whether moral principles are universal or contingent upon culture, circumstances, and individual context. Philosophers have proposed different approaches to ethical reasoning. Consequentialism, for example, evaluates the morality of actions based on their outcomes, with utilitarianism emphasizing actions that maximize overall happiness. Deontology, in contrast, focuses on moral duties and rules, asserting that certain actions are intrinsically right or wrong, regardless of their consequences. Virtue ethics emphasizes the development of moral character rather than specific rules, asking what kind of person one should become. Ethics also extends into applied areas, guiding practical decision-making in medicine, business, environmental issues, law, and public policy. For example, medical ethics examines questions of life, death, and patient autonomy, while environmental ethics considers responsibilities toward the planet and future generations. Through ethical inquiry, philosophy influences personal choices, societal norms, and collective moral standards. It fosters reflective judgment, self-awareness, and moral responsibility, equipping individuals to navigate complex dilemmas with discernment and integrity. Ultimately, ethics is both a theoretical and practical endeavor. It helps us understand the principles that govern moral life while shaping the actions, institutions, and societies in which we live. By contemplating and evaluating ethical questions, philosophy ensures that human life is guided not merely by impulse or convention, but by reasoned, principled understanding. Logic is the branch of philosophy that studies correct reasoning. It provides the systematic rules and structures that distinguish valid arguments from invalid ones. Without logic, no philosophical or scientific claim can be reliably defended. Aristotle was the pioneer of formal logic, introducing concepts such as syllogisms to ensure conclusions follow from premises. Over time, symbolic and mathematical logic have further formalized the field, allowing precise testing of argument validity. Informal logic, meanwhile, focuses on everyday reasoning in natural language, identifying common fallacies, ambiguities, and hidden assumptions that can mislead judgment. Logic is essential in all areas of philosophy. In ethics, it ensures moral reasoning is consistent and free of contradictions. In metaphysics, logic clarifies claims about existence and causality. Logic also trains the mind to think sequentially, carefully, and consistently, avoiding leaps based on emotion, prejudice, or habit. By studying logic, individuals learn to evaluate evidence, construct coherent arguments, and analyze competing claims with clarity and rigor. Logic strengthens intellectual honesty, enhances problem-solving skills, and provides the analytical tools necessary for critical thinking in every domain of life. In essence, logic underpins the entire philosophical enterprise. It is the instrument by which philosophy achieves precision, coherence, and credibility, enabling humans to reason effectively about complex, abstract, or uncertain matters. Philosophy also encompasses aesthetics and political philosophy, two branches that connect intellectual inquiry to human experience, culture, and society. Aesthetics studies beauty, art, and taste, exploring questions such as whether beauty is objective or subjective, what constitutes a work of art, and why humans are emotionally and intellectually drawn to creative expression. Aesthetic inquiry illuminates how art shapes emotions, imagination, cultural identity, and the values of societies. Political philosophy, by contrast, examines power, authority, governance, and justice. It asks when political authority is legitimate, how rights and responsibilities should be distributed, and how society can achieve fairness and stability. Central topics include liberty, equality, sovereignty, human rights, and the moral foundations of laws and institutions. Political philosophy is deeply connected to ethics, as political structures and policies reflect societal conceptions of justice and moral order. By exploring aesthetics and politics, philosophy extends beyond abstract speculation, engaging directly with human culture, collective life, and social structures. It shows how philosophical reasoning informs everyday life, influences social norms, shapes political decisions, and enriches cultural understanding. Through these branches, philosophy remains relevant to both personal experience and public life, demonstrating that critical reflection, ethical judgment, and aesthetic sensitivity are essential for flourishing individuals and societies. In conclusion, philosophy is a vibrant, living intellectual tradition that continues to shape human thought across cultures and generations. It begins with wonder, curiosity, and doubt, expanding into multiple branches including metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, logic, aesthetics, and political philosophy. These branches are interconnected. Our understanding of knowledge influences moral reasoning, and our conception of human nature informs political ideals. Philosophers from ancient times to the present have developed ideas that continue to shape how we think about truth, existence, justice, and the human condition. Philosophy's true value lies not only in the answers it offers, but in the methods it cultivates: critical thinking, careful reasoning, reflection, and moral discernment. In a world characterized by rapid technological change, ethical challenges, social conflicts, and scientific uncertainty, philosophy remains more relevant than ever. It teaches not only what to think, but how to think, fostering intellectual independence, creativity, and ethical responsibility. By engaging with philosophical questions, individuals develop the capacity to examine assumptions, navigate complexity, and envision better futures. Philosophy enriches both personal life and collective human civilization, offering insight into what exists, what we can know, and what life could and should be. It inspires reflection, imagination, and responsible action, ensuring that human beings continue to pursue wisdom and understanding in a world full of uncertainty, beauty, and possibility. Thank you for being a part of this introductory journey into philosophy and for giving your valuable time to this lesson. Your commitment to learning is truly appreciated. If you found this lecture helpful and enriching, I warmly encourage you to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you never miss an upcoming lesson. Your support through likes, shares, and subscriptions helps us continue producing high-quality, meaningful educational content for you. Philosophy is a lifelong journey, and this is only the beginning. We have many more exciting and thought-provoking topics ahead. Stay connected, keep questioning, and I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson.